how gorgeous. It is ready to be repotted. So if you want your Hoya to grow fast for you and to remain easy, do you think Hoya are hard? That's rich coming from me, someone who spent the last couple of weeks listing all of the hardest Hoya in my collection. If you're new to Hoya, you may want to watch these videos to see which ones you should steer clear of. Like, don't touch them at all. Not right now, not for a couple of years. I promise you, not all Hoya are high maintenance divas. Let me show you 5 easy Hoya that even beginners can keep thriving. These 5 Hoya are foolproof, fast growing, and most importantly, gorgeous. If you're new here, hi, my name is Stephanie and I love growing houseplants and talking about little tips and tricks on how I get my houseplants to thrive. This isn't the first time I'm making this video. I actually made this video about a year ago and you guys seem to like it. So if you want 5 more easy Hoya, feel free to check out that video because the 5 that I'm going to show you today aren't in that video. So that's 10 easy Hoya for you today. This is my Hoya obovata. This plant has been in my collection for just about how long? Maybe 2 years or a year and a half, just a little bit over a year. I actually got this plant as a one-leafed rooted plant. I love this plant because of this high splashy look on the leaves. Now, I will let you know that not all Hoya obovatas have a splashy look to them. So if you know you like the splash, be sure to get a really splashy specimen. So the one leaf that I started off with that I would have showed you a second ago, it actually was really splashy. So I knew that I was gonna have a nice splashy specimen. One thing though is that I find the splash on this Hoya reverts very easily. So let me show you an example. So keep that in mind if you're getting this plant. All you'd need to do is just chop back the reverted bits. It'll trigger the splashiness again. But I must say, this is such an easy Hoya to grow. It sometimes can be fast. It has little growth spurts. So sometimes it does nothing for a little while and then another time it would just really push out a bunch of new growth. And let's just say we're in the new growth era. This is a thick-leafed Hoya, meaning the leaves are not as thin as some of your other houseplants. You can't bend them. In fact, yeah, I think all of the Hoya on my list today are like this, very thick-leafed. They have very thick stems, and so it makes it super easy to care for. This plant, I think it would benefit from a trellis. I think when it feels supported, it pushes out more new growth. This plant is super easy. There's not much to say about it. It's in a self-watering pot and in my DIY chunky mix. And it's pretty simple. This plant doesn't need anything special. I wouldn't say you need to go out and get some fancy mix for this plant. And I have my Hoya, this one specifically, growing under grow lights. Let me show you the other one. So this is the other one that I have. Now, funny story, if you've never seen my video on how to grow your Hoya fast, then you would have missed this story because this story is featured in that video. These 2 plants that I just showed you were bought around the same time. This one was bought, I think it had at least 5 or so leaves on it when I got it, and it had multiple plants. And for some reason, I just couldn't figure it out. And I got the first one I showed you around the same time. Yeah, it was a one-leafed plant. I put it into self-watering and it just exploded. So these 2 plants, I love to use them as examples to show why I grow my Hoya in self-watering pots. The running theory for a long time was that Hoya, they're drought tolerant, which they are, but succulent was a lot of the words that were used to describe them, and they don't need a lot of water. And even these Hoya with thicker leaves and they can hold on to a little bit of water, they're forgiving. That's what makes them super easy. So if you are late on a watering, they won't kick up a fuss and drop new leaves or even existing leaves. But if you want them to grow even faster for you, you'd want to put them in a self-watering pot. So this little guy, as you can see, it's not in a self-watering pot. It's just in a pot in a pot. This is Molly's arid mix, which a lot of my Hoya love. Yeah, you can definitely see a difference in the growth, even when I had them both in the same growing conditions. Now they're no longer in the same conditions. This one's growing in my west facing window. And like I mentioned, the other one is growing under a grow light. This one is still doing really well. So it goes to show this Hoya is so easy. You don't need a self-watering pot for it. You can get beautiful growth even without a self-watering pot. Granted, it won't be as fast. I think you'd be just fine. Recently, I was filming a video and I was commenting on the fact that I was surprised that they hadn't bloomed yet, but I realized that the plant was bone dry and that I hadn't watered it. And so yeah, so hopefully now it'll bloom. But again, to show you how easy this plant is, no new leaves are still attached. So a lot of difficult Hoya, when you let them dry out, they will drop off the new leaves here. These are still there. The peduncles are still here. No older leaves fell off. It's so easy going. All green, I think, would be even easier than this because all green plants are typically easier. So yeah. Ooh, look at that. Isn't that so gorgeous? Shouldn't I just pot them up together? I'm getting ideas here. Put it in the comments. Let me know in the comments below. Should I pot these two plants together? I mean, look at that. Just get a really big number one. Plant number two. Since we started with the big one, let's go in with a small one. Plant number two is one that it always surprises me because the variegated or the splashy version of this plant is extremely difficult, and the all green is the complete opposite. It is this little guy. This is the Hoya Mathilde. So if you like smaller leaved Hoya, this definitely is a great one to reach for. The Hoya Mathilde is so easy. So easy. And after owning the splashy one, I thought this was going to be difficult. I thought this was going to be tricky, but no way. I'm floored. I just cannot believe how easy this plant is. I watered this plant a few days ago and the leaves were wrinkled, like they were pruny, which is always what I do not recommend doing with your Hoya. And I watered it. And I think that was maybe day before yesterday. Again, today when I looked at it, it was bone dry. And so I had to add more water to it. So clearly it needs to be repotted because take a look at that. Yep, it definitely needs to be repotted. But the point of me saying that is even after being bone dry twice in 1 week, I have not pulled off any yellowing leaves. No yellowing leaves. It has a million peduncles that it has not dropped the peduncles or any of the blooms on the peduncles. So easygoing, so stress-free. I am excited to have this plant. So I've had this June this year would be 1 year. That would have been 1 year since I've had this. And I actually got this as a couple of random cuttings from Jenna's Plants. I will link her down below. She recently actually had a Hoya collection tour. So please check out her tour. She's amazing. She's so inspiring. But anyways, she has a splashy Hoya Mathilde that she wants to keep very splashy and icy. So what she was doing was getting rid of all of the green cuttings. And I was like, hey, throw your green cuttings my way. And so she gave me a bunch and I added them in there. And whenever I had extra from my plant, I just added them in here. So that's why it's drying out so much. There are a lot of plants in here. But again, like just so easygoing. It grows in my west window in a self-watering pot. Another plant that I would say can get away without a self-watering pot. Seriously, this is rich coming from me. Like, you know me, I love self-watering pots. I really do. So for me to say that some of these Hoya actually, yeah, all of the Hoya I'm going to talk about, I would confidently grow them without a self-watering pot. That says a lot. This is growing in my DIY chunky mix, just a couple elements that I just threw in together just to give me this really nice chunky mix. I'm sure you could grow this in soil. I don't encourage growing Hoya in soil, but if you just had a very chunky aerated soil mix, I'm pretty sure you could get away with this. And I don't even think this needs the amount of light that I give it. Again, the all green leaves, I find all green Hoya, they don't need as much light. And so you would be swell if you have a medium light situation. But with Hoya, for the best growth, you need to give them a good amount of light. Even if they could tolerate lower light, if you want to see your plants bloom and thrive and grow beautifully for you, give it as much light as possible. Speaking about light, I would like to thank Barrina for sponsoring this portion of today's video. If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you would know that I've been using, and I love Barrina grow lights. I've been using them for years now. I have so many different kinds, and one of my favorites are their long-standing 4-foot lights. What I love about Barrina's grow lights is that they're LED lights, which makes them energy efficient, but also do not get hot. So you can hang on to them, you can hold them, and they will not burn you. They have a wide range of colors, softer, warm light, and if you prefer more of a daylight look, they've got lights for that. They give off just the right amount of lumens that helps your plants to grow. Imagine how thrilled I was when they wanted to work with me. They sent over one of their newer designed grow lights. They've changed the base of the T10 standing light. This upgraded version actually has a rounded base, which helps keep the lights way more sturdy and reduces the odds of it falling. Another amazing feature is that this grow light comes with an extender, so you can customize the height of the grow light, which is great because I currently use a chair. Another awesome feature is that it comes with a timer, so you can adjust the lights to turn on and off on their own, so you don't have to. Barrina was so kind to offer a discount code for my viewers. If you use this discount code when making your order on their website, you'll get a little bit off. Thanks again, Barrina, for sponsoring this portion of today's video. Okay, so the next Hoya that I'd like to share with you is one that's actually in bloom. Let me show you. I know, every time. So beautiful. This is my Hoya SPF burtoniae, or the Hoya DS70. Such an easy and satisfying Hoya. So easy. This Hoya, you've seen it around. It even sells in Home Depot. It sells in garden centers. It's very easy to find. And what I love about this plant is when you give it very high amounts of light, it gives you this inner yellowish variegation. And it's beautiful. For the past couple of days, we've been having like very rainy, cloudy days. Like finally, we're getting some rain. So as you can see, it's definitely not as bright as it usually is, but let me tell you, you stick this plant in very high amounts of light and you will have some beautiful yellow variegation, and the new leaves will give you this cute late pink look as they sunstress. What I love about this Hoya as well is that it's very pubescent. I was going to say extremely, but I have more pubescent Hoya. It's very pubescent, meaning the leaves have just a little bit of fuzz on the top and you can feel it and it just feels really nice. I just also love how full this Hoya looks when it grows. If you like more of a fuller look to your plants like I do, you will love this plant. It's definitely not one that will push out a vine or a runner and then you're like, okay, where are the leaves? It definitely will give you this very full look and it's super satisfying, very fast growing and super easy to grow. This one, and actually all the ones that I'm talking about today, they're all pretty resistant to pests. Like I've never had to keep checking them for pests or anything like that. I think that's a big deal when you want to label a plant as easy, a plant that's able to repel pests to an extent if it's healthy. But since it's so much easier to keep healthy, it's more likely to repel pests. See where I'm going with this? The most exciting part about this plant that I want to share with you today is that it is finally blooming. I am so excited about it. Oh my gosh, so excited. Let me show you. They are just absolutely adorable. So cute. I love them. This is one of these Hoya, when it starts to bloom, it does not stop. It will just push out a lot of peduncles all at once. So be patient, but when it blooms, it will be very satisfying. I think what I was most excited for when it came to blooms on this plant was the scent of the blooms, because I've heard so many people talk about the blooms. I've heard that they smell like butterscotch, and I've heard some people say it smells like cat pee, like it smells really bad. So what is my verdict? Drum roll, please. It smells like apple cider vinegar. I've never heard anyone describe it as that, but to me, this is the closest thing that I can think of that it smells like, just like apple cider vinegar. It has just a very light sweetness to it. The sweetness is like 1 out of 10, but it's more of this very acidic type scent. Tart. It's a very hard scent. Yeah, tart is the only way I can describe it. Happily, I don't hate the smell of apple cider vinegar, but in strong portions, sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is, oh right, it's that plant. I wonder if I've spilled vinegar on the floor somewhere, but I have to remind myself it's this plant. A little disappointing that such a beautiful plant has such a unimpressive scent for its blooms, but I definitely would not cut it off, and I'm proud of it and I'm glad. I have this plant growing in my DIY chunky aroid mix, and it's also growing like you know it in a self-watering pot. But as you can see, it is terribly root bound. It is ready, like ever ready to be repotted. But I was just waiting for the blooms to open up to repot it. I didn't want to disturb the blooms. I just wanted to get a chance to smell it. So now that I have, I think I'm gonna give it a pot size up. And I'm also going to put some vines in here. I'm going to propagate it and stick them back in, not even going to put them in water, so that it can become even fuller and bigger. So hopefully I could get all of this done in the summer. The next plant I'm going to talk about is one that used to be on my hard Hoya list. Can you imagine? This used to be a hard Hoya for me, and now it's on my easy Hoya list. The plant that I'm talking about is this guy. This is my Hoya waymaniae, not a cloudy sky. Remember, I always get it confused. It's just the Hoya waymaniae. This Hoya is quite unique in the way it looks, at least compared to all the other Hoya in my collection. It is the most crusty looking Hoya that I have in my collection. The leaves are quite firm. They cannot bend at all. They feel harder than cardboard. They feel like if you knock them with your knuckles, like they would make a sound. Like they probably won't, but that's how it feels. It is so easy going, very easy to propagate, just such a great grower. And if you just want to have something different in your collection, like I have a lot of very thick-leafed Hoya in my collection. This is also thick-leafed, but it's sort of in between. It's sort of like a medium-sized leaf instead of large-leafed. And it also sunstresses beautifully with this purplish reddish color. Like I mentioned recently, we've had a couple of cloudy days, so the sunstressing on a lot of my plants have sort of died back a little bit, but it can really become this really nice sunstressed color. And yeah, I actually really like it. It has a little bit of splashing to it, and it's just different. It's just different than your usual Hoya. 100%, this is a Hoya that I would trellis. If you look here, you can see how much tighter the growth pattern is, how much tighter all the leaves are, how much smaller the internodal spacing is. But as soon as gravity started to have an effect, and it no longer felt supported because the weight of the vine took effect, you can see how much wider the gaps are between all of the nodes, and the leaves aren't growing. So all I need to do now is put this on a trellis, and the leaves that are sort of dormant on these nodes, they will start to grow. So I just have to get a trellis to do it. I don't want to put it on a wire trellis. I want to put it on something different. I want to start introducing new trellises in my collection. So it'll be a little while. And in the meantime, I just have it, leaning up on a shelf and sort of allowing it to wrap itself up. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty happy, really easy going. I have it in my DIY mix, growing in a self-watering pot, and it doesn't ask for much. Another Hoya, I think you could, like I said, you can grow it without having a self-watering pot. But again, I just think all of your Hoya would just grow a little bit slower if you didn't have them in pots. It's growing in a west window, so it gets direct sunlight in the afternoon. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm surprised, just like you. But honestly, it was easy. I think it used to be on my hard Hoya list because it had pests. I think it had flat mites. And so I just kept spraying it and treating it constantly. And I think once we got past the flat mites, it just thrived. It just thrived and it pushed out all these leaves. But again, it's waiting on me to put it on something, on a trellis, and then we'll be fine. The last plant that I'm going to share with you is, yes, one of my easiest plants. It's so easy that I show you this Hoya all the time because of its gorgeousness and how easy it is. And you won't be surprised, it is my Hoya carnosa Wilburgroves China. I know. You must be thinking like, duh, Stephanie, it was only a matter of time before you put a carnosa in here. And of course, I had to put a carnosa, but know that not all carnosas are easy. Like the Carnosa Crimson Princess, that one is definitely a tricky one. Right now, she's sort of laying low for me. She's a little bit on the easier side for me because I don't mess with her, but I know that if I do, we'll be in trouble. There'll be a beef between us. You definitely have to appreciate when you have carnosas that behave themselves. So the Hoya carnosa Wilburgroves China, I've showed you this so many times. And yeah, here's it one more time. It is just a stunning, stunning plant. I got this one, like I've mentioned before, from Genus Plants. A lot of my Hoya are from her. I bought a really splashy specimen from her. I actually had this plant once before, not the Wilburgroves China. I got a non-splashy version from someone. It took forever to grow, and the person, like, they just sold me a reverted cutting, and yeah, I thought eventually the splash would kick back, but it never did. So I definitely recommend getting a plant with good genetics from the get-go, and you're gonna continue to have some really splashy, almost silver-like leaves. Like, come on, these are just beautiful, and it does not revert easily. I don't remember ever cutting off non-splashy leaves on this, maybe once or twice. But the other one that I have labeled the Wilburgroves Russia, that one reverts so much faster. But again, if you've seen my unpopular opinions when it comes to Hoya, you would know that I think there is probably no difference between the Wilburgroves China and Russia. If I had to give a difference, it would be the growth habits. The one labeled as Russia reverts a lot faster. This one, not so much, but it could just be coincidence. It could just be that specimen entirely. But anyways, that's it. Even though this is a Wilburgroves China, which usually is known for their longer leaves, I don't know why this leaf is curled, or like this one, for their longer leaves, this one mostly gives me rounded leaves. So as to why that is, I think this is associated with lighting. I don't know which is which. I don't know if it's more light or less light that causes this. But yeah, or it could just be, genetics, just the plant changing as it grows. Super fast growing. It's a heavy rooter as well. I have it growing in my DIY mix in a self-watering pot. As you can see, it is ready to be repotted. So with all of my Hoya, even if they're in self-watering pots, if you don't stay on top of the pot, if you let this dry out, it will slow down on its growth. But like I mentioned, with all of these that I talked about, they will not drop their new leaves when you let them dry out a little bit. I guess that's why, because of plants like these, some people will say, you can let them dry out, etc. I guess that's why people would say that. But then it's probably the same people who would be complaining that their Hoya grows slowly. So if you want your Hoya to grow fast for you and to remain easy, give them a drink, don't let them dry out, and give them lots and lots of light. And that's it for today's video on 5 easy Hoya that I think would be a great addition to anyone's collection. Tell me which one of these 5 Hoya that you have, and which of your Hoya are the easiest for you. Tell us all down below in the comments. If you watched all the way to the end, be sure to post a black heart in the comment section. Thanks for watching today's video, and I hope to see you in the next one.